Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Manolis Katsifarakis, and I'm here to talk about moonshot projects in a software context. I'm a lead software engineer for Epignosis, which is a pioneer in learning technology, and currently supports over 12,000 organizations throughout the world. We have 240 employees, as they told me today, not 235, and 25 million users across 4 products. So what's a moonshot according to the Cambridge Dictionary? It's, first of all, the act of sending a spacecraft to the moon, but unfortunately I won't be talking about that today. What I will be talking about is the second definition, which is a plan or aim to do something that seems almost impossible. And how would we define that in a software context? I guess that we're talking about highly ambitious projects, possibly innovative, with impossible timelines. That's a major characteristic. And the requirements that change all the time during the development period, and maybe even after that. But I'm guessing that many people here would call that a startup, not a moonshot. So I'm going to be adding a few more characteristics to this. So this happens in the context of a larger organization which has established procedures and would like to invest on this product that's being developed, and therefore we need good quality code that will last for a long time without needing any major work again. It can be expanded easily, and it can it can be future-proof. And also I'm going to be adding one more, which was true in our case, and that is doing this with an inexperienced team. So I'm going to be talking about Talentcraft, one of the products that we have developed in Epignosis. This is the main case study. And Talentcraft is an interactive learning content generator, which we built it to allow our customers to create incredible learning results, incredible learning content as effortlessly as possible. And one other major feature, actually a group of major features that it has, are AI-related features. It has advanced AI features. And that's me actually creating an entire page out of a single description, a small prompt, a short prompt. And Talentcraft has the ability to use its dozen of tools in the AI auto-generation process, and also add questions and auto-generate images and all kinds of text. Additionally, it allows you to enhance text and transform it, like translate it, make it longer or shorter, as well as a number of other AI-related features. So that's me there playing with some of the flashcards of the generated page, with the questions. This is a process tool, actually, and so on and so forth. So the highlights of the project were that this is a full-stack web app. It's written in TypeScript. It uses Node.js for the backend and React for the front end. So this went from concept to launch in 9.5 months. And I need to tell you here that the requirements changed all the time. We kept adding features, changing old ones. Like during the middle of the development period, it was decided that it would not be a standalone product, but instead it would be an add-on to one of our existing products, actually the most popular product of the company, which made the Talentcraft go from a 0 user expected launch to a potential 22 million user launch. And some of the prerequisites that we had for this project was, first of all, that we needed to be of very high quality. It would be something that we would open to a large portion of our users. We would have very high development velocity, and I'm not talking about the agile metric here. I'm talking speed towards a certain direction. And we would be able to iterate on it so that we could achieve the quality that we needed, and to the point where we could also rapid prototype on the product. And that was actually one of the things that made us achieve great results in the end. And as I said in the beginning, it had to be future-proof. And it would have to be easy to hand over to another team, because our team initially had a different role within the company. So talking about the team, we were initially the native mobile app team for Epignosis. We took care of all of the apps for the major products, as well as a total of 60 apps for our customers. And four of the 5 people that were in the team had 0 work experience in web development. Also, throughout the development of Talentcraft, we kept supporting the mobile apps. We kept adding minor features, providing support to our support team, and maintenance releases every almost 2 months. So the team behind the product was a product owner, a tech lead, myself, 4 developers that were hired as native Android or iOS developers, and a UI UX expert. The problem though, everybody was remote, and the problem here was that the product owner who had the original vision for the need for this product, as well as the UI experts, were limited resources to us. They had multiple other roles within the company, so we couldn't have them full time. So that left us as the core Talentcraft team, the 5 people. And I'm reminding we were also the mobile team for this development period. So going through the timeline real quickly, as it seemed to happen to us. So we had the kickoff meeting late November where we talked in an abstract way about what we wanted. And we had a very early proof of concept, like right before Christmas. And the actual development period started from the middle of January of 2023. And that's where the project started officially. And during that time, we only had, I think, 2 developers on the project. So we decided that we needed to add AI. It was the time, it was a huge AI boom going on. So we thought it's imperative that we add AI features to the product during February. And of course, no one was experienced on that. So that was another thing that we needed to learn. Also, OpenAI released GPT-4 at the middle of January 2023, and that changed everything. So we had to do even more research. We saw the potential to add incredible advanced AI features. So more work for us, more research. And finally, we had our entire team join us near the end of March, the whole 5 people. Oh, forgive me. So then again, in early June, during the summer, it was decided that, after all, Talentcraft would not be a standalone product. It would be integrated inside Talent LMS. So that got us worrying very much about scalability, multi-tenancy, and other such issues. Again, I'm reminding that we are talking about a 22+ million user product. And then we added an additional 2 million users and another product to worry about in late June. So that meant that we had to worry about the second level of multi-tenancy and a number of other things. And eventually we managed to ship the product earlier than we intended at the end of October 2023. During that time, we had a number of mobile apps releases, and we're talking about 60+ apps every time. And thankfully, everything went great. So since it's been a while since we released this, we can safely say that the launch was successful, and we've been getting extremely positive feedback from our customers during all this time. So what were the key ingredients for success here? Basically, I think the single most important one was to maintain correct balance across all levels during the development period. So we really got to understand very well that engineering is all about compromise. We did have to compromise on countless occasions. And there's a very thin line between under and over engineering. So this is actually something that's being talked a lot throughout our industry. And if this didn't work out well, we would have terrible results right now, a year later. In our case, it went very well, so yeah, nobody noticed. We only got the good out of it. So the most important factor, I think, the second most important factor are the people who will be working with you. And I would say that from my experience, these kinds of projects generally do not benefit from larger teams. They usually work better with smaller teams, such as in our case. And although this seems a bit counterintuitive, I would say that, for example, seniority is not something I would look for in the people I would hire. What I would look for more, and what seemed to work out well in our case, was the willingness for someone to learn quickly and to be able to do it. A very good, a very positive attitude that allows us to move fast, efficient communication, and even more so within the team. So there would have to be a very good personality fit from the members of the team. Also, previous experience with technology stack, not a requirement, I would say, for me. Again, this worked out well for us. So as far as the system design and the architecture goes, of course, for such a project, it should first of all fit the purpose. But fitting the purpose now does not mean that it will continue to do so in the future as your product evolves and it changes. So I think the best advice one could give when architecting a project is that you will have to make as many things as possible easy to change. You never know what will happen in the future. It's unsafe to make predictions very far ahead in time. And you know, the only way to manage all this would be to keep your project modular at all possible levels, and generally promote it even, you know, from your team to all parts of your application. So another thing that helped us very much would be a strict and opinionated architecture, which is not good in other projects. It hasn't worked well for me in other projects, but it allowed us to move very fast in our case because our developers had to make fewer everyday decisions. So it was also very beneficial for consistency and for our eventual target of adding additional people to the team and eventually handing the project over to someone else. Also, a good architecture is very helpful for people who want to maintain a very good developer experience, which is a major factor when things have to move very fast and are, you know, when the going gets tough. So another ingredient for this success was to maximize efficiency and reducing overhead, again, at all possible levels. So one thing that we did early on and we kept doing throughout the development of the project was to evaluate time-consuming processes and see what we could do about them. Like, I'm talking about processes that are very lengthy in themselves or processes that are very short, but happen all the time, such as, for example, your build process, when you're building your project and you do it dozens of times per day. So we invested time in automation in every possible point. And this is something that we are still working on for the project. The other major thing was to streamline communication, particularly in a larger organization and when you needed to interface with other teams. The communication overhead was very high. So it is very important for the programmers to be able to do what they do best, which is program, and do not have them context change all the time. And that means that ideally less communication. Of course, text over speech, I think, works well for context switching. And as much as possible, avoid overhead in all other communication-related activities, such as agile rituals, for example, of which we had few. Also, the team leads, who are usually responsible for talking to everyone else, for being an interface for the team, they would have to act as a spam filter. Keep your users, your developers, as well informed as possible, but don't allow any of the noise to pass to them. And also, finally, we needed to be able to work asynchronously as much as possible. And the best way to do that, when you have, again, to interface with other teams, and even when you have to interface with your designer, for example, or with your DevOps team, the best thing we could do was to get the work like 90% of the way there, and then validate it with our designer or with our DevOps team or with our literals team, the people who provided the written text, and so on and so forth. And again, what you saw there was an actual list of high-level tasks. Some of the high-level tasks I just copy-pasted over from my notes. The final thing would be to detect potential blocks early and don't be a block yourself. So a bit more of random advice that we got throughout the project was that static typing should offer the most advantages for this sort of endeavor. The ability to move errors to compile time is extremely important. and so is enhanced refactoring abilities. Also, when you give more information about your code, more metadata to your tools, they can help you way better than without it. And of course, things that you would otherwise have to use test suites to validate and to prevent from regressing, the compiler is an extreme help over there, and you can avoid larger suites. Now, in our case, we didn't have many options since this was a web project. We wanted to be able to share code between the backend and the front end. So the options that we had were mainly JavaScript and TypeScript. We did evaluate other options like Flow, for example, but due to previous experience in general in the company with TypeScript, it is what we went for. But unfortunately, it did not live up to our expectations. We're used to working with Kotlin and Swift and other strictly typed languages, and TypeScript required a significant time investment to actually give us the advantages that we were aiming for. But at least it wasn't JavaScript. So if we were a great JavaScript team, we would be able to have done this as well. But I'm not really sure about the longevity of the code base in such a case. TypeScript was okay there. So we used a lot of code generation throughout the project. We even used it for our domain models. We tried to model the application as best as possible. And we also used it to convert from one type of model to another, to validate the input from the users, also sanitize it, and in general, provided a very good safety net. And again, allowed us to move with using fewer tests. And this is what I would talk about now, that balancing tests is another art, again. In our case, we had to opt for more functional tests and fewer unit tests. That's why we invested time in TypeScript and code generation and a number of other things. And we also favored snapshot tests over complex UI tests. So I cannot go into too much detail in all that in 15 minutes. But those were some of the things that allowed us to move fast and also have great results with this kind of team. So you can try out the product for free on talentcraft.ai. Again, I'm reminding you that it's an add-on within our Talent LMS product. You can create a domain and an account for free and give it a shot. Thank you all very much. So I don't know if we have time for any questions right now, or if there are any questions. I think we're over 15 minutes.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
You were saying that you were used to do Kotlin and Swift before?
Mostly.
The question is, you used Kotlin and Swift mostly before, and now you were using Node with TypeScript. What is the reason on a such specific project to change the technology? Why wouldn't you use the technology that you know the best, who has good ecosystem?
Of course.
And
so we had to use Kotlin and Swift because those are the official languages for Android and iOS development natively. So we had no other choice on mobile, and unfortunately we couldn't use those for front-end development. Or maybe we could. There are, like the ecosystem does offer some solutions here and there, but we could not depend upon them at that time. Nothing was, production grade at that point. Yeah. Thank you. I don't know if there's something else. Okay. So thank you all very much. I think it's time for the next speaker. Thank you.